Imagine this. You've finally done it. You've saved up a decent chunk of money. Maybe it's $20,000. Maybe it's $50,000. Either way, it took you years of discipline, sacrifice, skipped vacations, and saying no to things your friends said yes to without even blinking. And now you're sitting across from a financial advisor. Suit, tie, nice office, framed certificates on the wall. He smiles and says, "Don't worry. I'll take care of your money." And here's what you're thinking. Finally, a professional. Someone who knows what they're doing. Someone whose job is to make me rich. Here's what you're not thinking. Wait, does this person actually get paid more if I stay average? Because here's the thing, almost nobody talks about. The financial advice industry, the one that's supposed to help you build wealth, is quietly built on a structure that sometimes works against the very people sitting in those chairs. Not because every financial advisor is a villain. Most of them aren't. But because the system they operate inside of has some very uncomfortable incentives baked right into it. And once you understand how those incentives work, you'll never look at financial advice the same way again. Let's start with what most people believe. Most people believe that a financial advisor's job is simple: help you grow your money as much as possible. You give them your savings, they invest it wisely, your wealth grows, and everyone wins. It sounds logical. It makes sense. If your advisor does a great job, you get richer. And if you get richer, they look good. So their success and your success are the same thing, right? That's the belief. And it's a very natural one to hold. But here's where it starts to get interesting. Think about how financial advisors actually get paid. In most cases, there are two main ways. The first is something called a commission. This means your advisor earns money every time they recommend a financial product to you. A mutual fund, an insurance policy, an investment plan. Every time you buy one of those products, money flows to your advisor, not from you directly, but from the company behind the product. The second way is something called an AUM fee. AUM stands for assets under management. This means your advisor charges you a percentage of the money you have invested with them, usually somewhere between 0.5% and 2% every single year. Now pause here, because this is where things get subtle. If you have $100,000 invested and your advisor charges a 1% AUM fee, they earn $1,000 from you that year. If your money grows to $200,000, they earn $2,000. Sounds fine, right? But what if your advisor is managing 200 clients? What if keeping each client just comfortable enough, not panicked, not leaving, just satisfied enough to stay, is more valuable to their business than actually maximizing your returns? What if the real product being sold isn't your financial freedom? What if it's your peace of mind? Let me introduce you to a concept called a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest is when someone is supposed to act in your best interest, but they have a personal reason to do something that's actually better for them, not you. And the financial advice industry is filled with these. Let's start with the commission model, because this one is the most obvious. Imagine you walk into a financial advisor's office. But actually, let's reframe this. Imagine you walk into a car dealership. You tell the salesperson you need a reliable, affordable car. Nothing fancy, just something that gets you from A to B. Now the salesperson has two options. He can show you a $15,000 basic car that perfectly fits your needs. Or he can show you a $35,000 car with features you'll barely use, but that earns him triple the commission. Which one do you think gets the bigger sales pitch? This is exactly how commission-based financial advisors can operate. The products they recommend aren't always the best products for you. They're sometimes the products that pay them the most. There's actually a category of financial products called high-fee mutual funds. These are investment funds that charge you 1%, 2%, sometimes even 3% in annual fees. Now that might not sound like a lot, but over 20 or 30 years, those fees quietly eat tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your investment returns. And here's the dark twist. Many of these high-fee funds perform worse than simple, low-cost index funds that almost any investor can buy on their own without an advisor at all. But high-fee mutual funds pay advisors generous commissions for recommending them. Low-cost index funds, they pay almost nothing. So what do you think gets recommended more often? Now let's look at the AUM model, because this one is sneakier. On the surface, the AUM model seems more honest. Your advisor earns a percentage of your money, so the more your money grows, the more they earn. Aligned incentives, right? Mostly, but not entirely. Here's the hidden problem. An AUM-based advisor is also deeply motivated to keep you invested with them for as long as possible, which means there are situations where advice that's truly in your best interest, like paying off your mortgage, or using your savings to start a business, or holding more cash during uncertain times, actually reduces your advisor's income. If you take $50,000 out of your investment account to pay off your home loan and free yourself from interest payments forever, that might be a brilliant financial decision for you. But your advisor just lost the fees on that $50,000. Their rational response: maybe not to push you too hard toward that idea. This isn't always intentional dishonesty. It can be completely unconscious. Human beings naturally frame advice in ways that align with their own interests, often without even realizing it. It's one of the most well-documented patterns in behavioral psychology. We call it motivated reasoning, and no one, not even highly educated professionals, is immune to it. Now let's go a level deeper, because this isn't just about commissions and fee structures. There's a psychological dimension to this that most people never consider. Here's a question: what does a financial advisor actually sell? If you answered investment returns, think again. Most financial advisors sell something far more powerful than returns. They sell certainty in an uncertain world. They sell the feeling that someone smart and experienced is handling things. They sell sleep at night. And here's the uncomfortable truth: that feeling is worth a lot of money, even when the actual results are mediocre. There's a well-known concept in behavioral economics called the illusion of expertise. It says that people are willing to pay a premium for professional help even when that professional adds little to no measurable value, as long as the professional sounds confident, uses the right language, and makes the experience feel sophisticated. In finance, this is everywhere. Studies have repeatedly shown that the majority of actively managed investment funds, the expensive ones run by professional managers with teams of analysts and decades of experience, fail to outperform a simple S&P 500 index fund over a 10 to 15-year period. Let that sink in. The people charging you significant fees for their expertise, on average, do not beat the most basic investment approach available. Yet millions of people pay those fees every year without questioning it, because the expertise feels real. The office feels credible. The certificates on the wall feel reassuring. This is the deeper trap, not just the fee structure, but the psychological comfort of handing control to someone who seems to know more than you. And the industry understands this deeply. Think about the language used in financial advising. It's deliberately complex. Diversified portfolio allocation, risk-adjusted returns, asset rebalancing strategies, derivative exposure, yield curve optimization. Now ask yourself, is all of this complexity actually necessary to explain good financial decisions? Or does the complexity serve another purpose? To make you feel like you need an expert, that this is too complicated for you to handle on your own? Because if you ever felt like you could manage your own money, you might stop paying someone else to do it. There's a reason IKEA furniture comes with confusing assembly instructions. Not because the furniture is genuinely complicated, but when something feels complicated, we value the finished version more. In finance, complexity is a sales tool. Let me be very clear here. Not all financial advisors operate this way. There is a category called fiduciary advisors, and this word matters. A fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest, not their own. They cannot earn commissions from products they recommend. They cannot hide fees. Their entire obligation is to you. But here's the shocking part. Most financial advisors are not fiduciaries. They operate under a much weaker standard called the suitability standard, which only requires them to recommend products that are suitable for your situation, not the best possible option. Suitable, not optimal, not the best, just acceptable. That's a very wide gap, and millions of people don't know it exists. So what do you actually do with this information? First, understand the landscape before you hand over your money. Before working with any financial advisor, ask one simple question. Are you a fiduciary? If they say yes, get it in writing. If they hesitate or say no, or try to explain why it doesn't matter, that tells you everything you need to know about whose interests will be prioritized. Second, understand how they get paid. Ask directly, how do you earn money from this relationship? If they earn commissions from products they recommend, understand that a conflict of interest exists. That doesn't automatically make them untrustworthy, but it means you need to do your own homework on every product they suggest. Third, Educate yourself on the basics, because the basics are actually enough. Here's something the financial industry quietly hopes you never realize. Building wealth doesn't require complex strategies, exotic products, or expensive professionals. For most people, the foundation of long-term wealth is almost embarrassingly simple. Spend less than you earn. Consistently invest the difference into low-cost, diversified index funds. Give it time. Repeat. That's it. No sophisticated derivatives. No active fund manager charging 2% annually. No complicated rebalancing strategy requiring a professional to manage. The boring truth is that the most effective wealth-building strategy for the average person has been hiding in plain sight for decades. It just doesn't generate fees, so it never gets sold to you. Fourth, use advisors strategically, not emotionally. There are situations where a good financial advisor genuinely adds value. Tax optimization, estate planning, major life transitions like inheritance, divorce, or business exits. Complex situations that genuinely require expert navigation. But using an advisor simply because you feel overwhelmed, or because it feels safer to hand control to someone else, or because the complexity of finance makes you anxious. That's the emotional trap, and it's exactly what the industry is designed to encourage. The antidote to that trap isn't finding a better advisor. It's building just enough financial literacy to ask the right questions. You don't need to become an expert. You need to be informed enough that you can't be easily misled. There's a concept in psychology called informed trust. It means trusting someone not because they seem credible, but because you understand enough to verify what they're telling you. That's the kind of trust that protects your money. Fifth, and this is the most important one, understand that your wealth is your responsibility. No one will ever care about your financial future as much as you do. Not an advisor, not a bank, not a company offering you a retirement plan, not a government. You. Every system you interact with financially was built by people with their own interests. Banks earn money when you borrow. Brokers earn money when you trade. Advisors earn money when you invest through them. Insurance companies earn money when you pay premiums. None of these systems are evil. Most of them provide real value. But they are all designed primarily to serve themselves, with your benefit as a secondary outcome. The moment you understand this, you stop being a passive participant in your own financial life, and you start being the one in charge. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. We live in a world that tells us money is too complicated for ordinary people, that investing is risky and confusing and you need a professional to navigate it. That financial planning requires years of expertise you don't have. And there's a reason that message is so loud, so consistent, and so persuasive. Because the moment you believe it, you hand your financial future to someone else, and someone else profits from managing it. The financial industry isn't alone in this. Medicine, law, accounting, most expert industries create some degree of dependency. And dependency is the most valuable business model in the world. But here's what history actually shows us. The people who built real, lasting, generational wealth from nothing, without inheritances, without being geniuses, almost all shared one thing. They kept it simple. They stayed consistent. They made their own decisions. And they never fully outsourced their financial thinking to someone whose paycheck depended on their confusion. They didn't need to be the smartest person in the room. They just needed to ask one question every single time money was involved. Who benefits from me doing this? Ask that question about every financial product, every piece of advice, every recommendation from someone wearing a suit in a nice office. Sometimes the answer will be, you both benefit, and that's fine. But sometimes, more often than you'd expect, you'll realize the person giving you advice benefits a little more than they've told you. And that awareness? That right there is more valuable than any financial product anyone could ever sell you. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, your financial future belongs to you.